Yeah, a lot of things have gone on in like the last 2 weeks besides me being sick. So my car was having transmission issues. It got to the point where when I would accelerate, the car would shake. It would not want to accelerate and it would shake. So I took it in to Ford and I was like, the local dealer, and I was like, hey, listen, this is what it's doing. They could not replicate it, like at all. So the guy's like, well, you're going to have to bring it back when it's more consistent. I was like, okay, whatever. So they had my car for 9 days. And I also told them, while you have it, go ahead and look at the pre-collision warning because it's going off like nobody's business and there's nobody ever around me. They could not replicate that either. The AC adapter plug in the back seat would not work, but apparently they ran it through, I guess, like they tried it out on their system or whatever, and it worked. I don't know. And then my brakes were pulsating, so they changed my rotors. If you've never owned a Ford, this is actually quite common. My car only has 31,000 miles, and the rotors already have to be, like, turned. I had a Ford Fusion, and I think I got, like, about 50,000 miles, maybe 40, and the rotors needed to be turned. So it's definitely a Ford thing. However, my Ford Escape that I had, I did not have those issues with it, and I had that thing for a long time. I think I had like 120,000 miles on it when I got rid of it, and I never had a rotor issue with that car. But for some reason, my Fusion and my Edge, they've had to have rotors turned before 50,000 miles, and it's got to be a Ford thing. I don't know. So the crazy part that I kind of found, besides them not being able to find the problem, was they gave me a loaner car. They gave me a loaner truck, and my husband drives a big-ass Super Duty. Driving trucks is not a problem for me. I mean, hell, I used to drive that thing more than he did. So they gave me a Ford F-150. Nice little truck. However, if you were in the market for a truck and you have kids with a car seat, I do not recommend buying the extended cab. And I'm telling you that because of this. Yeah, that is what the space looks like with my kid's car seat and an extended cab truck. The seat was all the way moved forward. The passenger seat was all the way moved forward. And as you can see, it's like sitting up. Like the back of it's like up just for me to put the car seat in there. So I told my husband, I don't mind driving this truck. I like the truck. But if I ever bought one, I would have to get a crew cab because this is not going to work. No. So if you're in the market for a pickup truck and you have car seats, I do not recommend the extended cab. Yes, they're a really good deal, but I would pay a little bit more and get the crew cab. Definitely pay a little bit more and get the crew cab. This was a very basic truck. It was a sport package, 2-wheel drive. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I did not like the fuel economy, but keep in mind, my car gets like 28 miles to the gallon. With as much as I drive to and from work, I spend about $50 every 5 to 6 days on gas. Filling this thing up, I was close to $80 for the week that I had it. So yeah, I was getting 22.2 out of it, and I was babying it for the most part because I don't drive like hella crazy. So yeah, I am very much happy that I got my car back because I'm like, spending this much money like every week is insane. Now, my husband does not spend a lot of money on diesel fuel because he doesn't drive as far as I do. I think he drives maybe 30 miles a day round trip, whereas I drive 78 miles round trip. So he doesn't burn a lot of diesel fuel, so we don't really feel the gas from his truck when it comes to filling up the tank. So I felt it on this truck just for 1 week. I'm like, ooh. Oh, God, this is like $30 more than I'm used to. Oh, God. But again, yeah, I'm happy to have my car back. But I do like a truck. Trucks are really nice. It was kind of weird, like, being in my husband's Super Duty. If you've never rode in a Super Duty, it's very different than an F-150. It's got a very different feel, a very different ride. Very different. Very, very, very different. And I guess I wasn't used to it because we've had quite a few F-150s over the years, and I guess I forgot how nice they rode, like smooth. So I get in it, and I'm like, yeah, I don't remember it being this smooth. I was like, this is nice. But again, you know, in a Super Duty, you don't get that smoothness. That's not what it's meant for. It's meant for towing and working. It's definitely not like luxury truck type ride. But, you know, I told my husband, I was like, you know, I kind of forgot how nice the F-150 rides. And I was like, you know, if, you know, I wouldn't mind a truck. I was like, but if I had to go back and, like, drive a truck every day, I'd have to work closer to home because $80 a week is, whew, yeah. That's, yeah. And I remember when I was driving about 50 miles round trip with my Escape. My Escape was a 2011, and it was a V6, back when they put V6s in them. And I was probably getting about 22 miles per gallon, like that pickup truck. And I was spending quite a bit of money in gas every month. I think I was averaging like $300-400 a month in gas alone when I was driving all that way with that Escape. So yeah, I'm not oblivious to paying a lot of gas, like for gas. I'm not oblivious to it. It's just been a long time. So it was like kind of like mind-boggling, you know, like when you're not used to paying for something for a while and then you start paying for it again, you're like, oof, this is rough. Like, oh gosh, I don't miss this. So yeah, but I got my car back. We're going to keep an eye on it. The guy said, hopefully, like if it does do it again, it's going to throw a code as in it's going to, a button's going to light up in the dashboard. Again, I've owned multiple Fords and I've never had this problem at all. The only time we had a problem was with my husband's F-150, the turbo. Again, Fords are also known for this. The turbo's going out on the EcoBoosts. The turbo was on its last leg and we knew that. Like we could feel it. They did multiple, software resets. And it did not fix the problem. And at that point, we were close to 100,000 miles. We need to unload. Because once that turbo goes out, it's going to cost a good, like, probably $5 to $6 grand to pay for. So that's the only time we ever really had an issue. And that was more of a turbo, not really a transmission. At this point, it feels like my transmission is slipping, is what it feels like. But again, they couldn't replicate it. And I told them what to do. I was like, hey, remote start the car, let it sit for 10, 15 minutes, because that's what I do in the morning. Because it's so cold here in the morning, that I remote start for 10, 15 minutes before me and my son get in the car. And then I drive it to daycare, which is like maybe 3 miles down the road, 4 miles down the road. I let it sit for 5 minutes while I take him in, get back in it, get on the road to go to work. And that's when it starts to give me issues. So the motor's very much warm when it has this problem, but they still could not replicate. So I'm hoping that if it does it again, it'll throw a code this time in the dashboard. I don't know if it will. I'm kind of hoping it does just so we kind of know what's going on with it. Because, again, the powertrain's only good for 100,000 miles. So I'd like to be able to get it fixed before that if it's a problem. But they did do a software reset on it. He said he's not sure if that's going to fix it or not, but they did do it. And so far, it's not done it yet. And I've driven it. We drove it a lot. Like, we drove it over the weekend. We drove it to Ocala and back yesterday. We're going to drive it out and about today, and it has not done it. So maybe the software update or, like, software reset or whatever did do something. Because it hasn't messed up yet. And by now, it would have already done that. So I'm hoping that's the case. I'm hoping. Crossing fingers that it is fixed. Because, you know, I don't mind a lot of maintenance and stuff. It's just when the maintenance starts to cost a lot of money, more than the car is kind of worth over time, it's time to like reevaluate, is it worth keeping? And my car is very sentimental because I brought my son home in that car. So it is very, very sentimental. Like, I wouldn't trade it for a minivan. And trust me, I kind of wish I would have got the minivan. But at the time, I was so stuck in the stereotype of it, I just couldn't get away from that stereotype until we got one as a rental car to go on a trip. And I'm like, I like this damn thing. Well, by that point, I already bought my car, you know, and the sentimental attachment was already there. So I told my husband, I was like, the only way I'm getting rid of this car is if this thing gets totaled out or it gets to be so much like to fix mechanically that we have to get rid of it. But again, it's only got 31,000 miles. So I have like another 70 something thousand before it hits the powertrain. So I think we're okay. My husband swears up and down that he got the extended warranty, but when they pulled it up at the Ford dealer, it said they did not. It only had the maintenance plan and the tire, the wheel protection. And I was like, babe, there was no extended warranty. I'm like, there was no extended warranty because there should have. I'm pretty sure I added it. And I'm like, then you might want to go through and check the paperwork because they're saying there was not anything associated with that. So you might want to go back and check the contract because there wasn't any. So yeah, because we always, when we buy cars, we always do the wheel protection because my husband swears that like I'm a magnet for curbs. No, I'm not. And the maintenance plan was something that we added on with my car just to make it easier on me, with my son, instead of having to pull out the debit card or whatever else. It's just easier. He just made it easier on me by adding it to it. And I didn't really care. I was like, whatever makes my life a little bit easier. But I also do, if you have Ford, check your local Ford dealer and do the mobile service. That's what I do. They'll come to your house. They'll do pretty much everything to your car. Unless it's like something more specific, like a transmission, they might not do that. You might have to go to the actual dealer and see the actual master tech for that. But the oil changes, the tire rotations, all that, they'll do right there at your house. And it's really convenient, especially when you have a kid. They just show up, knock on the door, you give them the key, they go out there, they're like there for an hour, they'll come back, give you the key, you sign the papers, and they're gone. And your car's serviced. And you don't even have to leave the house. So it's been a godsend to have that, especially with a baby. Because you don't want to sit 2 hours at a dealership with a baby. You probably don't even want to do it with a toddler. So why not do it at home, So if you have a Ford, definitely look into the mobile service. Check your local Ford dealer. They, as far as I know, quite a few of them offer it, but double check your local Ford dealer and see if they offer. It's definitely worth it, and it's free. It is a free service. So definitely get that checked. It's a free service. Now, if you don't have the maintenance plan or you gotta pay, you're gonna have to pay them when they get there. But it's not extra to have them come to your house. Or at least the ones around me, they're not charging extra. So definitely look into it if you have a Ford. So yeah, that's like my big update of the last 2 weeks. Yeah. So from now on, I'm gonna be on every Sunday, just throwing it out there. But that's why I was not on last week, was because I really couldn't talk much. Yeah, it made work very interesting, let's just say that. So yeah, tune in next week because we're going to be going to an RV show. And I'll be telling you guys all about that because we are still on the lookout for our home on wheels. So tune in to next week's video when I talk about all that good stuff and what we find. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week.